As the meeting carries no agenda, it's all what it is, right? So everything is what it is, apparently. So everything is apparent. There is only apparentness or apparent things. And this meeting is reflecting the agendaless nature of what is and isn't. So several people have turned up to listen to this ramble on about nothing. And the nothing is everything simultaneously. It both is and isn't, or is real and unreal simultaneously. And there may be an experience of trying to understand what the heck this is talking about, which is also what's apparently happening. The apparent happening is inescapable freedom, it's suggested. It's inescapable, unconditional and boundless freedom. And liberation or freedom, being boundless, unconditional, limitless, eternal, infinite, is everything, absolutely everything. It's everything, it's not a thing, and it's this. By being everything, it's this as well. And that includes the experience of someone feeling like something needs to happen. So the experience that something needs to happen, even in this meeting, maybe if I come to this non-duality meeting, I will get it. That's also liberation, saying maybe liberation might happen in the future. And any ideas or thoughts about something needing to happen or that this isn't liberation is also liberation. So liberation being everything, it's inescapable. And in that respect, it's simply pointing out, this communication is simply pointing out that absolutely nothing needs to happen for this to be already what it is, which in its indescribable wholeness is already complete, already fulfilled, already boundless, already everything. And so it seems quite likely that no conclusion will be made here. No one and no thing will come to a conclusion. That's the suggestion. It might happen, but it's suggested that there will be no finalizing everything or coming to some sort of agreement or some sort of, grand finale of concluding. It's already complete. It's already complete. And the I am dream tends to say otherwise. The I am that is also liberation, the sense of me here now is also liberation. So liberation can appear to be illusory. It can appear as anything. And this communication points out that the I am, there is no I am. There is no I am. There's no awareness. There's no consciousness. There's no me and you. There's no inside and outside. There is no real separation. The illusion is that there is no illusion. So it's an illusion because it isn't. It isn't really happening. And even if people go away from this meeting or any other meeting still completely convinced that they're real, is also just what is apparently happening. It's just every possible outcome, every imagined thing, every future-orientated thought, every past-orientated thought, every idea, belief, opinion, view, value, it's all just what is. Everything is what is. Nothing needs to happen. The need for something to happen is also what's happening. And sometimes, and it's no guarantee, there is no promise because nothing needs to happen. And because the illusion really isn't happening, it doesn't need to go away. However, sometimes the communication can allow the abundantly obvious and clear thisness. And then it's revealed that no one was ever in that, and no one was ever trying to make it a certain way. No one was ever really here, period, trying, grasping, clinging, wanting, craving, resisting. And if that happens, and only if, and only apparently, then it's obvious. It's obvious. But because there really is no one needs to become enlightened. No one needs to become liberated. No one needs to fall away, or whatever other terminology this story has apparently conjured up, that it doesn't need to go away. I am doesn't need to go away because it's already not really there. So let's leave it there as an intro. Yeah, and you can unmute or just type in, say hello, wave, laugh, dance, play, whatever. Tell me to get lost. It's just whatever happens is what's happening. So we can have a chat. We've got an open space for a little while. So let's see.
Hi, Alexis.
Hello, hello there.
Hi. I stay like that, if that's fine for you,
Of
without picture.
course,
Yeah.
of course. How do you
Yeah.
pronounce your name, by the way, my friend?
Agnes.
Agnes. Okay, lovely to meet you, Agnes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's lovely to actually speak with you.
Yeah, it's nice. Finally, I could join. Yeah, it's obvious that it's nothing to get here or to understand whatsoever. But somehow I'm curious about your story, how this um, happened to you, if you would like to say something to that. I don't know if you ever spoke about this. Recently, I was just thinking, because I was hearing that you said you were into Buddhism and how you turned from that to how that happened, apparently. Yeah, just it's clear that it's not the way, you know, it's your way, it's not the way, it's just what happens here and there, just from curiosity.
Mm.
If you would
Mm.
like to share something.
Yeah, we can have a look at that if that's what's wanted. The story of me can often be very self-indulgent, so I don't tend to talk about it unless someone asks. Um, yeah, so the seeker is there's a story that seems to accompany every seeker, isn't there? And there's this sort of sometimes there's a sensitivity in the me dream of living as a separate self, as a me, as an I am, looking for this, looking for that, going from substance to substance, relationship to activity to anything and everything. You know, it was a material journey for Alexis to begin with, and then it became a spiritual journey, a quest. You know, maybe fulfillment could be found in a religion or a spiritual tradition. Prior to discovering Buddhism, it was atheism and slightly agnostic as well. And then, you know, sooner or later, being into science, Buddhism seemed to complement Western science, and so, you know, that seemed quite appealing because, despite Buddhism being very much about spirituality and enlightenment and, you know, otherworldly experiences. I mean, Buddhism is so vast and grand, as I'm sure you know, the tradition, but it also seemed to be very logical and rational, you know, working with your mind and stuff like that. And so it's very appealing from a scientific perspective of calming the nervous system and things like that, right? And
Hmm.
so focused a lot on mindfulness of breathing, meditating, practicing ethics, developing wisdom, those kinds of things. And that went on for a very long time. And then enlightenment was this, at least in the way in which was being taught by the tradition that I was following back then, and the way that in which I was relating to that, enlightenment was becoming conceived of this grand event that may eventually happen in the future. This 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 sort of amazing experience, and then there's just complete boundless liberation, unlimited compassion. Um, and somehow this is where, you know, the journey seems to get a bit more mysterious, is that there was just some kind of intuition that's not how it is, that it's not something that someone could ever achieve. um, Enlightenment, for want of a better word, seems to be another word for infinity or unconditional or boundless freedom, liberation. And if it is any of those things, then obviously no one could possibly achieve that. But still, you had to try. And, you know, somehow the longer that journey went on, the more it just all seemed like a fallacy, really, without disrespect to the Buddhist tradition. It seems to have a place in the world. It seems to help people. But somehow there was just this kind of intuition that it's not going anywhere. Despite the amount of striving, despite the amount of time that one apparently puts into meditating, there's still suffering, there's still irritation, there's still the hindrances. And so eventually, because Buddhism, you know, in certain traditions talks about non-duality, maybe not as the central point, but it does certainly touch on it in certain traditions. That seemed to be explored. You know, I was seeing like speakers online like Muji and Eckhart Tolle and Adyashanti and Rupert Spira, and that seemed to be very appealing as well, and it didn't seem to contradict Buddhism, so there was a receptivity to what they were saying. And then sooner or later discovered Tony Parsons and what he was saying, and that basically just destroyed everything that I had built my life around for the last 7 years. Um, so it kind of destroyed me. And the whole attempt to get somewhere, the whole projected destination and the journey to it, it was just completely destroyed. And then yeah, it's obvious that whatever enlightenment is, if you want to call it that, or awakening, or liberation, or union with the divine, or entering the kingdom of God, has never not been. It's become so obvious that there is no journey, there is no destination, there is no process, and there is no one. There's a long answer. Not sure if it was satisfying, but there we are.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. And how long was it from the first um, encounter with Tony
Yeah.
until you disappeared?
So, in terms of clock time, I think it was back in August 2023, so not that long.
All
Not
right.
that long. I mean, it, it was a good 7 years of seeking in the spiritual,
Yeah.
from going from one practice to another, one tradition to another, jumping ship and
Mm.
neurotic seeking, and then just Tony's message or communication, the way that in which it's delivered by him and Jim and others, it's like it just after all of that seeking, despite that seeking being so neurotic, it was like this is so bloody obvious. This is so obvious what they're saying, despite it seeming to be very abstract. At the same time, it's just like, of course, this is. It just seemed to be this click, like what they're saying is it just seems so obvious.
Mm. Like a recognition.
Yeah, a cognition for the body
Yeah.
that can very comfortably and easily and always has lived without a me inside of it.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks for sharing.
Oh, thank
Very
you.
much appreciate your videos, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
hmm. Yeah, and thanks for your input and thanks for the group as well. It's been enjoyable. Yeah, sort of
Yeah.
getting to know others, even digitally.
Yeah, you're welcome to share there whatever you feel like
Oh,
when the
thanks.
impulse is there whatsoever.
Yeah, yeah.
Very welcome.
Hmm.
Thanks.
So Sam, or Sam, aka Siddhartha, has put it all feels like a software update of a sort. Religion, science, spirituality, and history can barely handle the message. Yeah, the message is oh Siddhartha. Oh, I thought it was Sam. Another Sam is joining now. Bear with me. I'm not quite sure who's who anymore. um, Siddhartha, yeah. Yeah, these religions and spiritual traditions, yeah, the communication really does kind of just get straight to the point, the pointless point, of course. And so the message has, which I quite like, I must admit, has been often compared to Kali Ma, the destroyer of destruction itself. Um, yeah, goes straight to the heart of the matter. Was that you, Samsung?
Uh, yep, it's me.
Hey, so this is Sam from Germany, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Ah,
Uh,
lovely. Hello there.
yeah, sorry, I'm a bit late.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
Okay, thanks.
How are you?
Um, I'm okay. I'm okay. Not good, not bad.
Just what is, yeah.
Yeah. It's like I got some bad news today, but it's okay.
Hmm.
It's all right. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Very well.
Yeah. Yeah, I today morning I had this. Yeah, it's like uh, there is actually no point on anything actually, right? Like uh, it's like I don't know. Um, the words and actions and everything has actually no meaning at all.
Well, don't worry, because there's no one for there to be meaning.
Yeah.
See, if there was a me apparently trying to live without meaning, then suddenly this would all seem to become really quite nihilistic, um, and it's not. Yeah. So for these terms that are being used here fail to elaborate on what's apparently happening, but there is no meaning because there is no me. There is just what is. So it's not that I have no meaning. It's that there is no me, therefore no meaning. There is just what is.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that, now that that's been said, I have to make these decisions or choices. It's saying no, choices and decisions already seem to be all happening by itself. So it's not applied, it's not taught, it's not preached to anyone. This is not about applying it to my life. It's saying that there is no one, and therefore there is no life, and there is no purpose. It's already what is. It's already whole,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that includes the feeling that it isn't whole.
Yeah. But this me would never understand this.
No, no. Rather frustrating for the me trying to
Yeah.
understand it. And the me trying to understand it is also whole, also wholeness.
Yeah.
So this communication doesn't see anything wrong or right with any of that. The attempts to understand this, maybe if I understand this enough, then I will get somewhere, which is obviously the dream, the story of me and my life, which isn't real. But even that is perfect. That
Mm-hmm.
doesn't need to change. Nothing needs to change. It is radically free.
Yeah. And what's with the me, which is like totally out of control?
Hmm.
Like, what if the me is like, I don't know, like if somebody is have like a mental illness, or like somebody is like kind of, not here, or like totally not here, like they're kind of, you know, they're suffering and
Hmm.
they're mad or something like that, like they have mental illness and all the stuff like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like I know, it's like, do they like still feel that they are there is a me there, or like what is happening?
Right. So this is a very hypothetical question and situation. So it wouldn't be known by anyone what would or could happen in a situation like that. But if there was a me with, if there was an apparent me, because me is only ever apparent and it's not actually real, it's not, there is no real me. Even anyone in this meeting who there might be a sense of me, that even that is not really happening. So if there's a body with a psychosis, for example, like a physiological and psychological imbalance that has, been diagnosed by medical professionals with a psychosis, and then suddenly a me is no longer in that whole, uh, paradigm of body mind, no longer a subject object thing going on. It seems unlikely that that whole psychosis would completely disappear. Yeah. So me does not necessarily mean all neuroses exist because of me. So this message is again frustrating for that me, is very impractical and useless, really. This is not about anyone getting somewhere better. This is not about someone falling away and then life can get better. All that seems to happen is that I die and life, or not life, but this goes on. This goes on. However, when the I am dream simply fades away and it's revealed that it never actually was, the body can become tremendously more relaxed. That can happen, but there's no promise for that to happen, and it doesn't need to happen for this to already be what it is in whole. So that's clear. But hypothetically, when a me apparently fades and there is just simply what's happening, there's no longer subject object, there's no longer relating because there's no one to relate to. There's no longer inside, outside, me and you, here and there. There's just what is. And that can seem to bring about relaxation for the body and ease, yeah? Just ease and simplicity. And the neurotic craving for something to happen can go away, will go away. But for some bodies with, neurological imbalance and hormonal imbalance and stuff, pain and suffering can still go on, but it just wouldn't be happening for someone. No one would be claiming it. It's just pain apparently happening.
Mhm. Yeah.
So some mental illnesses like stress and, chronic stress and depression and anxiety can seem to be exacerbated by the whole me dream. But there's not necessarily always a correlation between the two because there is no real me anyway. And that's incomprehensible. At least that's suggested that it is incomprehensible. It doesn't seem likely that that can be comprehended, that even without a me, there can still be pain and discomfort and anger. but resentment and shame, suppressing emotions, those things seem to be very much connected to the me, because it's someone relating to those things. So this might all be getting a bit abstract, and I'm not sure how good a job Alexis is doing here on elaborating on all of that, but those are some of the suggestions.
You're doing really good, I guess. And uh, what about the situations where um just like an addiction, what if the addiction, if someone has addiction and it's out of control, and uh, he or she could do something. If the addiction went away, the it the apparent life could be like better, but he or she cannot control to get rid of addiction. Like, what if the addiction has destroyed everything, and the person is like self-sabotaging because of addiction and current situations, and I don't know. And there is also no free will, so I don't know. It's like
no free will. You see, addictive tendencies seem to arise out of the agitation of the contraction. So the whole, contracted energy, which seems to take a position, and from the position there is separation. So boundless energy becoming contracted energy. Suddenly I am, and I am here, and there is everything around me, and that's sort of a contraction. And then feelings of dis-ease can seem to arise in dependence on that agitation. So there's a contraction, and then this is very similar, by the way, to the Buddha's elaboration of conditioned co-production. So when there's a seemingly agitated energy in the body, then thoughts and feelings can seem to arise on behalf of or out of a result of that contraction, do you see? And then thoughts arise, oh, I feel this, I feel that, I am feeling this, I'm thinking this, I resent that person, this should be this way. And this would seem, although it's a story and it's not real, but it would seem to carry some kind of apparent momentum of trying to get back to wholeness, back to boundlessness. But it's already boundless. It's just appearing to be otherwise for no one. And that apparent momentum, seems to create behaviors and thoughts and, patterns of behavior, going from one substance to another, one relationship, one person, one activity, jumping. And sometimes it can just seem to stick with one substance or one activity and just get obsessed with that. But no one's in there doing that. There is no one in control of that whole apparent process, which isn't really happening anyway. And that seems to have spiraled out of control, and but there's no guarantee that would all just fall away if the me falls away. But it seems likely that a lot of the addictive, personality traits are arising out of a desire to get wholeness, to get fulfillment. And so it seems, I'm using the word seem here because there's no knowing as to what could happen, but it would seem like when it's exposed, that it's abundantly obvious that there has never not been wholeness and that I am never actually was, then there is no resistance anymore. There's no resistance in the sense of I am, and therefore I need something to happen. But preferences would still go on. So yes, drinking might still happen, smoking might still happen, eating junk food might still happen, but it wouldn't be coming from a place of I. It's just preferences. So the suggestion is that when the whole I am dream is exposed for its illusory, transparent, and insubstantial nature, life just simply, even though it's not life, it's death actually, but the character everything just seems to become more radically simple. There's no bouncer. It's like the me is a bit like a bouncer. Sort of saying you can come in, no, you can't come in, like shame, remorse, regret, you have to stay away or push it down. But yeah, joy, bliss, happiness, laughter, yeah, you're all welcome. It's like that whole sort of like the selecting, and which no one is doing, obviously, but it's like the whole trying to figure out how to live life, gone. Never actually was.
So, but does this illusion actually arise from language, words?
No.
Because like there would not be like me without words, right? Like there would be no word me without language.
So it could be that the English language, at least, seems to have arisen out of dualistic minds, but that doesn't necessarily mean that if everyone just became mute and stopped talking, that me would cease to be. Me is already not there, and also me is it's more profoundly and subtly energetic. So just if one started talking in the third person, for example, or started learning a different language in which I wasn't so central, the me, there's no correlation between the me and language. Language, as it's known, may have came out of, it may have seemed to be developed by people who seem to be living in the me dream, but it's not. Me is not dependent on language.
Okay.
So I still use the word I, even though there is no I, because it's functional. I mean, sometimes I will switch to third person, but people just tend to get annoyed.
Yeah.
So I still use the I because it serves a purpose in obviously living life and going around and having conversations. All of that goes on just fine without someone in there trying. And as for grief, yes, grieving, sadness, these things are totally welcome. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong or right with that. It's just, yeah, sadness can arise, anger can arise, frustration. It just wouldn't be someone grieving. It isn't someone grieving.
So like just like one imagines like maybe doing something just like washing hands.
Hmm.
The illusion me is the illusion just like that, the imagination of someone thinking, just like someone I could imagine I want to wash, like I could imagine washing my hands or something like that.
Hmm.
Is the illusion just like someone, the imagination of me thinking or believing that this is uh, imagining that there is something in this body and the the imaginary me is doing then thinking, believing, feeling pain,
Hmm.
all the stuff. Like yeah, it's like kind of also like uh, uh, the sense of me also comes from the sense of the body, like because the inner body is felt. The There is a sensation of the inner body, so it's like kind of like the imagination and the sense of inner body get mixed, the and the belief arise of this is me and I am thinking.
Hmm.
Is that like that or?
It's a bit, for want of a better word, it's a bit deeper than the thinking, yeah? So thoughts seem to arise, I thoughts seem to arise, but there's a sort of a deeper felt sense of me and I am. Like there's a sense or a sensation of some kind,
Mhm,
an energetic sense that I am washing my hands.
mhm,
There's some sort of sensation or energy about the whole I amness of a very
mhm,
simple and mundane activity.
mhm,
And it's a fleeting thing, and it's also transparent and insubstantial. Even though it's a bit deeper than the thinking level, it is
mhm,
still insubstantial. It's like the suggestion is that it's thinner than a sheet of cling film,
mhm,
but it's deeper and more energetic than a thought. Because if it was as simple as a thought, then that thought could just say in its own story and imagination, I'll just stop thinking that I am, and then it would all be over. So it's not quite as simple as a thought that says I am. There's a sort of a felt sense, and then I thoughts seem to arise about me and I am and my hands and all of that stuff.
so it's like the energy the energy first and the thoughts about this energy.
Yeah, so in the story that there would seem to be a kind of a process of me and my life and my thoughts and what's happening in my life. That in the story, there seems to be a process of all of that happening. When that whole story has been exposed to be completely unreal and not happening to anyone, there was just a fleeting memory of a dream of me. It never happened, and it never happened in time, because time is not real either. It's an appearance like everything else. It's real and unreal. But the story seems to make time absolutely real. Because me seems to depend on what will be.
Just like a movie, right? Like a movie in your computer. It's like
Mm.
the whole thing is already there, but when you click the play button and it moves, it has the apparent like like it has an apparent feeling of as if there is time, kind of.
Yeah, yeah. There already is no me. Yeah. So me and Em were chatting yesterday about rainbow. I hope you don't mind, me bringing this up. But we were talking about a
No.
rainbow and how that's like an illusion. And when the rainbow's there, it seems to be really there.
Mhm.
When the rainbow is in the sky, it seems to have some substance to it. But then when it fades away, it's quite obvious that it never really happened. Somehow it's just quite obvious to the naked eye. It just never really actually was there. It never really had any substance to it. And it never really seemed to even fade away. Because it fades away so gradually, it's like it's hard to know that it even ever was actually there, other than a memory saying it was there. It's hard to know that it even actually ever happened. And the me is just like that. It's like the me never really even happened. There was never really ever a me. So M has asked a question. There wouldn't be someone grieving, but they also could not be grieving the loss of someone. Um, so it's perfectly legitimate, even outside of the whole story of me. If let's say like several bodies that were all sort of living together without me's for years and years, and then one of them, one of the bodies suddenly passes away. This all sounds a bit impersonal, so just bear with. But one of those bodies passes away, it would be perfectly legit for the other characters to mourn the loss of that character, even though there was never a me between any of them. So grieving and sort of a sadness, of course, can still happen. It's just no one's claiming it, and it probably wouldn't. Again, suggestion, and anything can happen because it's all boundless, but it just probably wouldn't be as extremely visceral and problematic. Sadness is just as beautiful and profound as happiness and joy, and every other emotion is just purely sensational and miraculous and innocent, really. So there would be no need for sadness to not happen or to happen. Yeah, the whole grieving process would probably be just, again, suggestion is just being more natural, really, and just what is. Yeah. But for me, these kinds of emotions and feelings are really a problem. Yeah, they're really a problem. The me, even though it's not doing anything and it's not really there, which has been said so many times now, so apologies. So it's clear. But these feelings and emotions are a real problem. And it really, you know, but outside of the medium, it's like sadness is just as beautiful and pure and raw and innocent as any other emotion. Um, So yeah, why couldn't it arise?
So is the sadness just like black? Black is not a bad color than white,
Yeah, it's
but
just
the
all what
thing.
it is. Absolutely, Sam. Yeah, it's just that. It's
So
just is absolutely what it is, and because of no one resenting it or clinging on to it or trying. There's no agenda. There's no agenda with sadness. It's just what it is. It's just arising. Yeah. There may still be some kind of preference. I mean, happiness is the expression of being enjoying with what is, and sadness is like there's, but that's all really quite natural, really, and that happens absolutely fine without me. But because the me, for the me, these emotions and feelings and thoughts are a big problem, that they just seem to dominate the whole apparent human experience, and so things seem to take years to process, and emotions seem to get suppressed and pushed down, and in other situations they seem to explode and become really exacerbated, but really, there's nothing wrong or right with any of it. Yeah, so sadness, for want of a better term, serves purpose. Love, love still happens without me's. So there may be, love for children and siblings and spouses and pets. That seems to serve a purpose, even though there's no one doing that. Well, there's an apparent connection, isn't there, from one body to another, you know? Even though there's no me, there's still an exchange of
Right.
care, affection,
Yeah.
empathy, love. The apparent relationship between a pet and a human is the opinion here is that that's gorgeous, And so when a pet dies, yes, grief, it's like there's perhaps it's the grief of the end of that physical relationship, even though there is no relationship because there's no one to relate to, but there was still an apparent connection in the world of appearances. Yeah. So when me is exposed to be not, it wouldn't be I am grieving my pet. It's just grieving is apparently happening. So a lot of me's would like to be totally free from emotions and feelings that it seems to deem unpleasant, uncomfortable, painful, undesirable. And then when that me is no more, and it's revealed that it's not, never was, it's like, sadness is and anger and whatever else that was previously seemed to be undesirable or unpleasant, is actually totally what is, yeah. Yeah, so in a sense, it's no one grieving no one. It's nothing grieving nothing, yeah. Just grief, yeah. I mean, that might sound to some very devoid of any compassion or love or empathy. It's not. It's not.
No.
This is not about suppressing emotions or anything. If anything, it's the opposite. It's like the whole me that seems to get in the way of just making a mess, to itself, not to anyone else or anything else. But everything is radically allowed. Everything is radically allowed to be what it is. Well, my friends, we are at 4 p.m. British time, at least. In Germany, it might be 5. But yeah.
yep, it is.
Great, got it right. Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, so does anyone have any other things that feel to be said before we close it all down? Enjoy the description of appearing as clouds. They simply fade and pass. Can you talk about this, please? Yeah. Yeah, so there is only appearances. Yeah, just appearances. There's no real thing. There is only what seems to be. And so even this is not quite right. But the more obvious that this all seems to be just simply what's apparently happening, there is no such thing as a thing. There is only appearance of activity, and that includes body, mind, emotions, relationships, perceptions, thoughts, ideas, memories, beliefs, values, feeling, the whole totality of anything that can and cannot be known is just what appears to be happening. And it's more like an activity than a thing, like an object, because everything is empty. But even to say it's an activity gives it a bit too much credit, but it appears to be happening. So yeah, clouds. It's just a fleeting thing that appears to no one and for no one. Perhaps we can end it there. So if you've enjoyed the meeting, then consider giving a donation via the website if you want to, even if it's just 1 or 2 quid. But don't feel obliged. And this meeting will happen again next Friday, perhaps. And Wednesday evening is the next meeting, which is live streamed on YouTube at Bondard in Leicester, where we are. And yeah, more news coming up soon. Feel free to head over to the website and subscribe to get emails about what's apparently happening, even though no one makes that decision to do that or not. And yeah, stay in touch. Much love to you all.
Thank you very much, Alexis.
Bless you.
Bye-bye.
Bless you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Cheers, Alexis. Thank you.
Thanks.
Woo! See. Bless you.
See you all soon.
Goodbye.